Lethal Company helped spark a new genre of multiplayer horror games, but it and many of the titles inspired by it have struggled with a common issue, the Lethal Company curse. But I have found a game that could break this curse, and I even interviewed the developer, so he'll be able to tell you more about what the game's future might look like. So, today I'm going to tell you what this curse is, and then tell you all about this game and how you can play it for free this week. So what is the Lethal Company curse? Well, it's not a flaw in Lethal Company, it's quite the opposite actually. Lethal Company was so accessible and refreshing when it came out that it sold a bajillion units. But it's fair to say that most people had the same experience. We played it a few times, less of us played through all the content, and even less of us revisited it later on. Obviously there's some people who still play it to this day, and that's great. But games have life cycles, and nowadays a graph that looks like this is considered very healthy. Well then, why do I call it a curse? Well, it doesn't just affect Lethal Company. There's been a bunch of Lethal Company likes made in the last 18 months. Some are just quickly assembled games trying to cash in on the hype, and some are well-crafted titles that aim to innovate on the format. But they all suffer the same curse. These games are some of the funnest multiplayer experiences to be had, but for most people, when they're done, they're done. For a long time now, I've wanted to find a game that has the Lethal Company experience, but with a more fully realized traditional gaming experience built around it. An experience that captures that signature feeling of cooperative roguelite horror with the long-form style and sense of progression of a game like Terraria, for example. This acts as a smooth transition to talk about the game in question. It's called Darkwater. I just played a playtest and I have to say this game could be that game. That playtest is now over, but it's available to play for free during Steam's Next Fest starting on the 24th of February and going on until the 3rd of March. Darkwater is developed by Aaron and his team at Targon Studios and published by PlayStack, who are the publishers of Balatro. The game is set in a submarine, and you and your friends have to play as some of those SpongeBob movie-looking scuba divers tasked with piloting your own submarine. It's got a lot of interesting mechanics pulled from many different games, which, like I said, is one of the things that make it stand out against the other games made in Lethal Company's image. Unlike Lethal Company, your ship is more than just an extraction point. You need to repair it, pilot it through minefields, and my favorite part, upgrade it, adding a ton of different modules and weapon systems, and even extending its length and width. Now, this is something straight out of games like Barotrauma and Faster Than Light, two incredible roguelites focused on piloting different ships through hostile territories. Darkwater takes a lot of inspiration from Faster Than Light, with them sharing a very similar transport and combat system. In both games, there are nodes on the piloting console of your ship, and these nodes could be outposts or stores, and the blank ones often have random encounters involved, which you could stand to gain from, or they could end your whole run. The aim of the game is to traverse the map and make it to the end point of the specific region you're in, and then continue on to the next region. Along the way, you'll encounter facilities a la Lethal Company. In Darkwater, they're called outposts. Just like in Faster Than Light, your goal is to traverse through a region, collecting different items and upgrading your ship's engine, navigation, and weapons, whilst fighting off pirates and other creepy crawlies, and exploring abandoned facilities. When you reach the end of your region, you fight a very difficult combat encounter, and then begin your journey in a deeper, more difficult part of space. Well, in Darkwater's case, it's the ocean on a distant planet's moon, in a sort of alternate future. The game does have a narrative that's discovered through different terminal entries you find in the outposts, and I won't spoil too much, but it revolves around finding a vaccine for a devastating virus. Aaron said his idea came from realizing that nobody had made a first-person Faster Than Light yet. He's been working on the game for about a year, and decided that the first-person outer ship elements would be perfect in a Lethal Company gameplay loop style. There's also a variety of weapons you can carry, like sledgehammers, knives, and even a shotgun. In my 1 hour of play, we found only one enemy, but Aaron mentioned many more in the interview. The game strongly resembles Lethal Company, as you can see in the B-roll, but the ship versus ship combat was my favorite part. In Faster Than Light, you see an enemy rocket hit your ship on a screen, setting a room on fire, and you have to send one of your crewmates to go fix it. In Darkwater, you see a torpedo hit you on the scanner, followed by a huge crash as your sub fills with water. It's a much more visceral experience. Unlike Faster Than Light, you or a crewmate must repair the damage yourself while still in combat with the other ship. Surprisingly, Aaron hadn't played Barotrauma, despite the extreme similarities in gameplay and setting. For those unfamiliar with Faster Than Light, its combat system involves both ships powering up weapons simultaneously. Depending on the power of the weapon, it takes longer and longer for it to charge up, and you have to target different areas to disable enemy systems. In Darkwater, for example, you can hit their navigation room, making it harder for them to avoid mines you might lay out. This adds a strategic layer forcing you to disable enemy systems before they do the same to you. Now, I don't want to give too much away about the specific crazy things you can get up to in this game, but I do want to show you my favorite part: the ship's customization. You can add a bunch of different rooms and get bigger and better engines and other things. Something I've never seen before in a game like this, I suppose because I've never played one like it before, is that you can customize the layout of your ship and even make it wider or longer. Changing your ship to whatever funky layout you want is one thing, but then getting to experience that layout in first person as you play through the game gives the gameplay such a unique and personal feel. I actually cannot wait to play this with my friends, building the most scuffed ship possible, or the most amazing ship possible. And I already know one person's going to be the ship's decorator, and one's going to be the pilot, and one's going to be the missile man. You know, classic survival game stuff where everyone's got their own role. If you watch the full interview, you'll see that every cool idea I thought of, Aaron's one step ahead of me. As far as the art style goes, it's like a more realistic Lethal Company. A lot of Lethal Company likes have amazing art styles, but I don't think the simplicity of Darkwater's art style really detracts. It's quite the opposite. It's got a very serious feel, which is definitely nice and lends itself to the horror elements of the game. At the moment, it's too early to talk about any flaws in Darkwater's design because the whole point of the playtest and the Next Fest demo is so that Aaron can get a good idea of what he needs to work on going forward. That's why I wanted to bring your attention to it now, because I cannot wait to see what direction Aaron and his team take the game in. If you want to learn more about Darkwater, play it for yourself during Next Fest, and be sure to go to my Patreon to watch the full interview for free. Don't worry, it's for free. Aaron is a very cool guy, and he carved out time in his incredibly busy schedule to be interviewed by me, a gamer who has never conducted an interview before. So many thanks to him, and I hope you all go to Steam and enjoy the game this week. Anyway, that's enough from me. Peace out.